right, welcome back to KTN News Center. That is our hashtag also that we're using online. I'm seeing very, very many tweets. I'll continue to sample them as we move along here on the show. Remember, on our Twitter poll this morning, we're asking you if you support the proposals or the calls to have Raila Odinga on the ballot come 2022. It's something that he says he's not interested in until he says it personally. Then everything else should be treated as personal opinion of a section of leaders who've come out to say that. All right, let's continue with our conversation here in studio with Opio Wandai. He is the Ugunja Member of Parliament and the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. So we're already talking about 2022. How come there are all these calls, by a section of all ODM leaders for Raila Odinga to be on the ballot? Shouldn't we be concentrating on, the agenda of the country?
Betty, let's look at this matter in context.
Mm-hmm.
And firstly, even the opinion poll you have put forth,
right,
is misleading.
How come?
Yeah, because how can you ask people what they think if they support the proposal to have Raila Odinga's name on the ballot? It's a foregone conclusion that every Kenyan who qualifies to run for presidency can run.
But Raila Odinga is not just a Kenyan. I mean, he has been on the ballot a number of times.
What needs to be looked at is where we are as a country, and particularly in the aftermath of the handshake. If you have been keen enough, you must have noticed from the statement, the very elaborate statement that was issued out by the two leaders on the 9th of March, that a lot of wrong things have happened in the country in the past,
right,
and even presently. But a lot of these bad things or these wrong things can be fixed if leaders came together with a singular objective of fixing them. And that is why Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta decided to meet halfway. So the issue of 2022 is therefore diversionary, because the issues that are on the table under the agenda of building the Bridges initiative are bigger issues than 2022, than whoever is going to become president, than whoever is going to contest for the presidency. These are issues that are at the core of our nationhood. And it is time Kenyans gave these two leaders the chance to give a way forward in terms of fixing these issues.
All right.
So the calls, if you come back to your question, the calls for Raila Odinga to run for 2022 are not new, and they're not going to end soon. Yeah, we'll have to live with them. But as he said clearly yesterday in his statement, he is not interested in the debate on 2022. And I've also seen that statement being misunderstood, being misinterpreted.
How?
Left, right,
How
and center
so?
by the media.
How so?
Yeah, because other media are screaming, oh, Raila said now he wants to be running for president, and so on and so forth. What he said is that he does not want to engage in a debate concerning 2022 presidential election.
All right.
Because in his view, it is diversionary. That the issues that they need to fix, they must fix them, regardless of what will happen in that particular year.
All right.
Okay?
You correctly say that, but of course Senator James Orengo came out and said that, and he's one of the top backers of Raila Odinga, so shouldn't they be speaking in the same language?
That was certainly Senator Orengo's personal opinion. And Honorable Odinga made it very clear yesterday in his statement. And as you know, our party is a democratic party. ODM is a very democratic movement, even as the name suggests. And Senator Orengo, and again, leader of minority in the Senate, has got all the rights under the sun to proclaim anything, concerning politics. And one of the proclamations he made happened to have been the calling for Honorable Odinga to run for president, which is perfectly in order. But Honorable Odinga has said, no, that is Orengo's opinion, which he respects again, I'm sure.
All right.
Okay?
So
let's leave it at that. Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's given that...
Because again, if you ask me, even personally, what's my opinion? Yeah, you would be shocked. So,
Why, what is your opinion about the same?
No, my opinion for now is that we focus on the building the bridges. Yes.
All right. I mean, Raila Odinga indeed has come out and said that, he's not interested right now to speak about and, participate in that debate. But we're also seeing that agitation on the constitutional review, which really would set the stage for 2022 and how the politics of that year would be.
Well, politics is a very dynamic thing. It changes every minute. Actually, literally. Literally. I've seen some senator, some first-time senators speaking on television a few moments ago. I think a senator for Nandi.
Yes.
I can't remember his name well. Yeah, he is profusing total ignorance. Yes, on the dynamics of politics.
Why do you say that?
He doesn't seem to understand how politics plays out in this country. So by focusing and dwelling so much on the person of Raila Odinga, you see, Raila Odinga has come into what? He's going to, we need to monitor him, we need to watch him. That is not helpful at all, at all. Yeah, if I were him, I would concentrate more on articulating the issues that the Senate is meant to articulate. Right. That is protecting the counties and the governments. Yes. But this is the business of running helter-skelter with the name of Raila Odinga. We're just not going to help anyone.
All right. Yeah. But going back to my question to do with constitutional review, which will set the stage for 2022, something that Raila Odinga is agitating for. But at the same time, he says that he's not interested right now in the 2022 politics. Raila
Odinga has been very clear, and I agree with him. I remember, Betty, I'm also the Secretary for Political Affairs of ODM. So some of these things, I know them. We have been very clear as a party that the Constitution that we gave ourselves in 2010 has served us for the last 8 years. We have seen its weaknesses. We have also seen its strengths. And that the time is now ripe for us to review it with a view to fixing those weaknesses that have been identified by Kenyans, even as we safeguard and protect those strengths that have come with it. So the issue of constitutional review would have to happen, whether there are elections in 2022 or not. So that must be made clear to all those doubting Thomases, because I see them. I see a faction in Jubilee, so preoccupied with the issue of stalling constitutional reforms. They are preoccupied with the matter of 2022 elections, of ring-fencing that election, fearing that any tinkering with the Constitution will upend their game. That is myopism, if you ask me. The Constitution is ripe for review, and it must be reviewed to enable it to serve people of Kenya more effectively. That we have to do, regardless of which political formation we belong to.
But is it really about increasing the number of seats and positions, or is it choosing the seats and positions that are there, indeed, to do the work?
Again, that's where, again, people lose it. The commentators and the media. A review of Constitution is not synonymous with increasing the size of the executive, for instance.
No, but the proposals there right now
where?
Are to increase and ensure that, there are different levels of government. There are indeed additional positions.
Betty, the debate about the constitutional review has not even begun. People are still talking about, we are still at the stage of talks about talks. Okay? When the debate begins in earnest, then these proposals will be put on the table. And they will be looked at objectively, in a structured manner. I have seen their proposals, for instance, for the executive, for the executive to adopt the parliamentary system. Okay? That we have a parliamentary system, in which case the Prime Minister would be the one having the executive powers, with a president who is ceremonial, so to speak. That is a proposal. Of course, it also coincides with the fact that that same proposal is what was in the Bomas draft, the now famous Bomas draft, that we all know about as Kenyans. Okay? It so happens, yes, that the Bomas draft recommended a pure parliamentary system. And a lot of proposals coming forth now, albeit informally, are supporting that aspect of the executive system.
Right.
There are also others, even if they are in the minority, who still insist that we need to retain the presidential system, the poor presidential system, with all its inadequacies, with all its weaknesses that we have seen now.
Okay.
So those proposals will have to be channeled to the table for a debate to ensue. What I want just to stress is that I am totally at variance or are opposed to the views of those minority people who are insisting that there shall be even no debate at all, leave alone even changing the constitution. In their mind, there will be no debate at all about the constitution. Those are the people I'm opposed to, and I'm differing with them in totality. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Finally, before we let you go, you are the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. What are we expecting from you in the coming days?
You know, my committee, the Public Accounts Committee, is the premier oversight committee in the National Assembly, because it examines the audited accounts of all ministries, all constitutional commissions, and the 2 independent offices. So its plate is full. And as you also know, perhaps, when I was elected, we inherited a backlog of tasks that were yet to be accomplished by the previous committees. So we are racing against time to be able to clear this backlog, for us to be able to submit reports to the House for adoption, to enable the future share of revenues to be based on at least some financial year which is relevant.
Yes.
But then you have noticed again the kind of sessions you have had in the recent past. Yes, a lot of things are coming to the fore. Very, very shocking revelations about how people have continued to misappropriate public funds. Indeed, it is a face of impunity that public funds have been applied in a manner that goes totally against the Constitution. Yes, and the relevant laws. So in the coming weeks, we'll be seeing us summoning these fellas to explain to Kenyans why they misuse their funds.
And this has happened before, summoning of these people, but, what will you do differently to ensure that, this cases actually, are prosecuted and somebody is actually found culpable?
Well, you see, Betty, as they say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. Wait for our recommendations. And I've said this repeatedly, that we are going to execute our mandate without fear or favor. That whoever shall be established to have misapplied or misappropriated public funds, either knowingly or unknowingly, will have to be held to account at a personal level and in the fullness of time. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us. It was great having you here in studio. Opio Wandai, who is the Ugunja Member of Parliament, the Chair of the Public Accounts Committee and the Secretary of Political Affairs, ODM. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Betty.
All right, so we will continue with our bulletin, our show. Remember that we're still taking in your views to do with our Twitter poll. I'll be looking at your responses in a few moments. But for now, though, let's just take a look at some stories coming in from the international scene. And the United Nations has warned over a new surge of violence in South Sudan, in which innocent civilians are being caught in the crossfires. This comes as the East African Bloc of Nations, IGAD, prepares to hold talks aimed at securing the implementation of South Sudan's peace deal, the latest bid to end a 4-year civil war that has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced a third of the country's 12 million people in the United States. Innocent civilians caught up in the violence have taken shelter at temporary camps.
Not IG and come and kill the children, kill the old women, kill the old men, and destroy everything. Like now, they burn all the houses. They destroy everything, even the borehole. They are now broken. When they are finished, and then they go back, and then they will broken because people will not come and take them and drink water here.
At one point, I thought at the end of last year we were moving in the right direction. Today, after seeing what I've seen here, houses burned, children shot, the discussion of more conflict and more war, cattle raiding, it's pretty disappointing. I know this is only one place, but all across South Sudan there's conflicts like this happening, if not one place, in another.
It is very clear to us that this is not at all, from an economic perspective, from a political perspective, from a humanitarian perspective, a country where it is conducive right now to go through any meaningful elections as a plan B. So for us, there is no plan B. The only plan is the high-level revitalization forum.
All right, now in a small district in Lagos, Nigeria, the dreams of young children come alive through an art space set up by a former actor. Here, young performers are free to learn how they can become independent through music, dance and theatre. This art center takes in children between the ages of 2 and 18 and teaches them different forms of self-expression, including dance, music and theatre. It was set up in 2013 by Ayodije Adewale, a retired actor who wanted children in this poor neighborhood to engage in positivity after school activities. There are currently about 15 groups performing regularly at the orchard.
To cross to another country.
Now, Chinese-American scientist Sherry Chen, who was wrongfully arrested and fired due to baseless espionage claims several years ago, will soon return to work in Ohio in 2014. Sherry Chen, who was arrested and accused of espionage, that case went nowhere. So that case went nowhere, but the U.S. Commerce Department still fired her from the National Weather Service. In April, the agency was ordered to reinstate Chen.
In waiting and waiting for someone with authority come out publicly to clear my name and to set the fact straight, to say that all the allegations against me were false, the judge did just that.
Asians and people of Chinese descent are being disproportionately prosecuted. But what's even more disturbing is that so many of them are innocent. As many as 1 in 5 Asian people accused of espionage are innocent, and that's a rate that's double for other races. With numbers that stark, it's hard to believe that there's nothing going on here.
All right, now Pakistan's Interior Minister Ahsan Jobel has been suspected of an assassination attempt ahead of nationwide elections due this year. Now, the suspect, who police said was named Abid and is believed to be in his early 20s, shot Iqbal at close range with 30-bore pistol hitting him in his right arm as he was preparing to leave a public meeting in Punjab province. Senior police official Raja Rifat Mukhtar said now the attacker was about to fire a second shot when police and people in the meeting overpowered him. Iqbal, beg your pardon, has undergone surgery and his life is not in danger. Tunisia held its first free municipal election Sunday, but only 1 in 3 eligible voters cast ballots, reflecting frustration at the slow pace of change since the 2011 revolution in the cradle of the Arab Spring. The election has been touted as another milestone on the road to democracy in the North African country, which has been praised for its transition from decades of dictatorship. But Tunisia has struggled with persistent political security and economic problems, as well as corruption since the revolution, and turnout was just 33.7% of the 5.3 million eligible voters in Sunday's poll. Prime Minister Youssef Chahed said the low turnout was a negative sign and a strong message for politicians. right, so from the international news, we now want to bring you some sporting action with none other than Robin Toskin. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to KTN News Center. We've been live here at YMCA Sharumoyo off Jogoo Road, east of Nairobi. For those of you who know where the city stadium is, that is a few meters or about 500 or 600 meters from the city stadium. And of course, today we are continuing with our live coverage of sports news making the headlines in across the world. And last night, you remember, the Clásico was played out at the Camp Nou, where the match ended 2-2 between Barcelona, the hosts, and Real Madrid. It was an absorbing encounter that was only sullied by the sending off of one of the Barcelona defenders. And of course, Cristiano Ronaldo, having scored in yet again another El Clásico match, actually limped out of that game. He didn't come back for the second half, but then that game ended 2-2 after 10-man Barcelona had taken a 2-1 lead over Real Madrid. It was electrifying, and so many Nairobians stayed up to watch that game and just enjoyed the game of football. Remember, in England also there were matches, and Manchester City were awarded their trophy, having won the league with about 4 matches or 5 matches to spare. But yesterday, after that 0-0 draw against Huddersfield, they were handed their trophy. And what a joy it was for Pep Guardiola, the boy from Spain, and everyone in England was saying that they are lucky to have someone like Pep Guardiola, because he's gone to England and changed things. He's turned around the playing style of Manchester City, and now they are the champions. Manchester United are still fighting for that second slot position. And also, Chelsea played against Liverpool, and that game ended 1-0 in favor of Chelsea. And now that has a huge impact, significant impact on the table of standings, because the rush for the top 4 is ongoing. Liverpool are now clinging onto their position. It could be difficult for them, because with the 2 matches to go, you never know what could happen, because Chelsea are knocking on the door. Tottenham are also hanging in there. And of course, with Arsenal fans, they will be contented with Europa League, which they will be playing for in next season. And remember, their coach, Arsene Wenger, the professor himself, has overseen or coached at Emirates for the last time in that game against Burnley, where they walloped Burnley 5-0 to give him, a warm sending off. And now in his last game, he'll be playing 2 matches. He'll be playing out of the Emirates. But then that man there has always encapsulated the hopes and dreams of so many other Kenyan players and so many other fans, because after 22 or close to 22 years, Arsene Wenger will not be walking through that tunnel at Emirates again. But of course, back home here, like you saw, we've had a very inspiring morning, talking to the lads here, the para-badminton players. We've been also talking to the basketball players, and they all express their hopes for tomorrow. All of them are looking forward to the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. And what a way to start our day at KTN, because these are fellow Kenyans who really enjoy their game. But of course, again, if you open the pages, and especially the Standard newspaper on your front page, we don't have so good news there, because, look, the doping scandal that has, thrown everyone into a jolt in this country. Asbel Kiprop testing positive for EPO, and that has been confirmed by the Athletics Integrity Unit, saying that, well, they are investigating Asbel Kiprop for maybe a possible drug abuse or abusing a substance that has been prescribed. The Standard newspaper has given you an elaborate coverage, and it's telling you what? It's not only a Kenyan problem. Lest you think that is a Kenyan problem, it's a global one. And in that story today, make sure that you have a copy of the Standard newspaper and get to know, why is IAAF silent on some of these issues that have been raised by so many stakeholders. In Kenya itself, we are known to be the world beaters. And if at any point our athletes will be tainted, then we'll have all gone down as a nation. Hopefully, all the people involved, the Athletics Kenya, the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, and also IAAF should be able to come out and help Kenya overcome this menace? And of course, again, we are going to go back and talk about the Kenyan football. Last night also in the Confederation Cup, Gor Mahia played out to a 1-1 draw in Rwanda. They were playing against Rayon Sport. That game, Gor Mahia taking an early lead, but then under some downpour in Rwanda, the host came back to tie that fixture 1-1. And next weekend.
All right, so that is my colleague Robin Tuskin there, just giving us some highlights of sports. And of course, we'll be going back to him later on. For now, though, I want to bring you live pictures of the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who has arrived in Kenya. As you can see, those pictures there coming in from State House, Nairobi. He's here in Kenya for a 2-day visit. And of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta is the host. And as you can see, that occasion, of course, that welcome session already underway at State House. Now, we understand that the Ethiopian Prime Minister will hold talks with Uhuru Kenyatta on regional integration, I beg your pardon, peace and security. And remember that he is a newly installed Prime Minister. He was installed, of course, after his swearing in, which happened on the 2nd of April this year. And this will actually be his 3rd foreign visit after Djibouti and Sudan. And of course, key in the discussions, we understand apart from integration, regional integration, peace and security, there will also be talks to do with regional stability and the two nations' border security. That's also something, those 2 pointers also will be part of the discussions between the two presidents here in Nairobi. Also, we understand that the two leaders will, of course, be discussing ways of enhancing relations between the two nations. So there you go, the pictures of his screen there. The Prime Minister there receiving a guard of honor there at State House, Nairobi. All right, so a cross-section there of cabinet secretaries. I can see Fred Matiang'i among other leaders there. Actually, almost all CSs there, there to receive the Prime Minister for Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, who's here in the country, like I mentioned, for 2 days, discussing matters to do with regional stability, border security between the two nations, among other key issues. Remember that, like I mentioned earlier, Ahmed has been in office since the 2nd of April when he was newly sworn in. All right, so we'll be keeping you updated on that story there, the developments there, and we will be, of course, be able to understand what's going to be happening. The talks, like I mentioned, also there. Remember that President Uhuru Kenyatta is on record, really. He has been on record praising the newly elected leader, of course, for a good transition, which he said, President Uhuru Kenyatta said that was a very good lesson, from Ethiopia for managing diversity, but also for the African continent. Remember, like I mentioned, Ahmed was appointed by Ethiopia's ruling coalition. That was back in March and sworn in as a premier in April. So there you go, the two leaders will be getting the latest details to do with his visit and the talks that will be held here on KTN News as we continue with our coverage. developments there. But for now, though, we want to continue with our coverage. And Alego. All right, first of all, before we get to that press briefing that was happening in Kisumu, we just want to take a short commercial break. Coming back in a few minutes. Don't go away.